Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of tonight's Backlash pay-per-view. And tonight's Backlash was held from Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. And this is the first ever, as what WWE, has been calling it, the first ever dual brand pay-per-view. And I'm like, we have the Royal Rumble, we have WrestleMania, we have Survivor Series, and we have SummerSlam. The big four pay-per-views. And guess what? WWE forgot that those big four pay-per-views, they're dual brand pay-per-views. What the fuck? What the fuck, WWE? You forgot your big four pay-per-views are dual brand pay-per-views? That's all. I had to make that face because it's a what the fuck. They're all those big four pay-per-views are dual brand, both Raw and SmackDown. Calling it this pay-per-view the first ever dual brand pay-per-view. But let's get on with this review. This year's Backlash. This show was a piece of shit. This show was abysmal. This is, without a doubt, the worst pay-per-view of this year, by far, in my opinion. This is on my list for the worst pay-per-view of the year. It was a failure. It really was. But the Jersey crowd, whenever they come to Jersey or they come to New York here, it's going to be a good crowd. The crowd was really awesome for this pay-per-view. This pay-per-view was shit, but the crowd was awesome, in my opinion. But let's get on with the review. Start with the match that was on the pre-show. It was Ruby Riott versus Bayley. Before this match even got started, we saw Bayley and Sasha Banks in the locker room. Bayley wanted Sasha to be in her corner tonight during the match. Sasha got a little mad about that because Bayley wasn't in Sasha's corner in her match on Raw. So Sasha, didn't want to be in Bayley's corner tonight. So progresses with their storyline, which their storyline has been put on hold just to get the Riot Squad over. So, but the match itself, it was a typical women's match. Bayley deserves a lot more than what she's been given. Just putting Bayley on the pre-show, she deserves way better than this. And I'm a huge Bayley fan, and seeing WWE use her like this, it's just sad. It's very sad. But Ruby Riott ended up getting the win. Bayley was distracted by Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan. Bayley took out both members of the Riot Squad. She ended up taking out Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. Then Ruby Riott got control of the match. Ruby Riott ended up hitting Bayley with the Riot kick to score the win. So, but match was your typical women's match. Wasn't great or perfect by any means. No. So now on to the regular matches on the match card for Backlash. First match the pay-per-view opened up with the Intercontinental Championship match between Seth Rollins and The Miz. And it's really funny. WrestleMania opened with the Intercontinental Championship match, and now Backlash tonight opened up with the Intercontinental Championship. So Seth Rollins versus The Miz, and This match was match of the night, by far, in my opinion. This was a great match. The crowd was really into this match. You could tell everyone in that crowd loved the hell out of this match. Both Seth and Miz gave it all they got in the match tonight. It was back and forth between them, and it was just a really enjoyable match. Seth Rollins ended up getting the win. He ended up hitting the curb stomp to the Miz to retain the Intercontinental title. But all in all, the match itself, it was an enjoyable match. It was a good match. It was match of the night, in my opinion. And then after that match, this is when the pay-per-view went to shit. The next match was Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship. And match itself, it was slow. This should have been a quick match, but it dragged on way too long. And even this pay-per-view, I forgot to mention, this pay-per-view dragged, for so long. By the time the main event started, it was 11:05, and then the pay-per-view didn't end until maybe 11:25. So it dragged on for way too long. And then after this pay-per-view finished, I still feel drained from this pay-per-view because it was a long pay-per-view. It was too long. But getting back into the Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss match, this should have been a quick match, but was dragged on for way too long. Nia Jax was basically dominating through the match, tossing Alexa Bliss around the ring. Alexa, part of the match, took control of the match. She ended up hitting a DDT to Nia Jax on the steps, which was pretty decent. But there were times where Alexa tried to take down Nia, but ended up failing. But Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss at the end of the match was going to hit the Twisted Bliss, but Nia ended up catching her, and that led to Nia hitting the Samoan drop on Alexa to score the win and retain the Raw Women's Championship. So, but the match itself, it wasn't that good. It should have been a quick match. Then after the match, Nia was being interviewed. Nia says, this victory of, Bliss is over. And she says, the Raw Women's Championship is for everyone who was, being bullied. She, gives, a speech about, people who are bullied, and that, the people, the bullies will be, beaten up. And the crowd really booed when Nia was given that speech. It was very disrespectful because, there are people who are bullied, whether it's either at school or at work. It happens. I was bullied, times in middle school, and also very badly in high school. But I forget to, I tend to forget those times because those are really dark times for me. But Nia giving that speech, maybe Nia even more, because the whole speech about having been bullied, and it relates to people, really relates to me, and everyone who was who was bullied in school, or was bullied at work. So, but it was a really nice speech that Nia gave. But overall, like I said, the match itself, it should have been a quick match. Then we had Samoa Joe being interviewed about, does he think that Roman will be rattled tonight in their match? Samoa Joe says Roman has lost a lot of power and is a man who loses, to him. And he says Roman tonight would feel pain, and that tonight he is going to turn the big dog, which is Roman Reigns, into a puppy. So, I mean, it was okay little interview with Samoa Joe. Then we had Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton for the United States Championship. This match wasn't that good, in my opinion. Just the flow of the match. Jeff Hardy was trying to, Jeff Hardy, I have to say, was a little bit entertaining in the match, but didn't save the quality of the match. But Jeff Hardy ended up getting the win. He ended up hitting the Twist of Fate on Randy Orton, and then hitting the Swanton Bomb on Randy Orton to score the win and still retain the United States Championship. So, but now maybe this would be a good time, for them to turn Randy Orton heel once again. Because maybe I think that's what WWE is trying to set up. Have Orton go back to being a heel. Because that's the thing, Orton as a heel, he's more entertaining as a heel than a baby face. So, but match itself wasn't that good. And then we had this segment. Oh God. It started with Elias was out there saying, he is good friends with Bruce Springsteen. He goes on to talk about how him and Springsteen both talk about life. They both talk about life and music. The crowd is booing the hell out of Elias, meaning that the crowd doesn't want to see Elias perform. The New Day ends up coming out, says if Elias wants to jam with them, and they were like, oh, does anybody want to see a concert with with us and Elias? And Elias didn't really like that, and so he's like, oh yeah, introduce me again. And then so JoJo ends up saying, ladies and gentlemen, Elias. He tries to play, but then Aiden English ends up coming out, saying, to New Day to stick to their merchandise. And he ends up telling Elias that, it's Rusev Day. Elias, says to both Aiden English and Rusev, what are they doing out there? Out here. Rusev says, they are doing, him and Aiden are doing what they want. And Rusev ends up calling Elias a bootleg Bob Dylan. And he ends up saying, New Day are the booty boys. And so Elias then, has had enough of this. And so, he says to JoJo once again to introduce him. JoJo then introduces him once again, which this was becoming annoying, this segment. So, No Way Jose ends up coming out, with his conga line. And we saw, Titus Worldwide there, and Breezango also came out there. And, Elias just was having enough of this. And so, once again, he tells JoJo to introduce him. JoJo introduces him again. This was getting very annoying. Then Bobby Roode's Glorious hits. And we just see Bobby Roode come from behind and give Elias a glorious DDT. And that pretty much ended the segment. Then we just, it was just so bad it's funny segment. It was terrible. It was terribly funny, in my opinion. And we see Bobby Roode dancing up to the stage, you know, with No Way Jose's conga line. We go from badass Bobby Roode on NXT as a heel. Then he gets brought up to the main roster as a babyface. And now they're using Bobby Roode, you know, dancing in No Way Jose's conga line. It was embarrassing for Bobby Roode, in my opinion. Bobby Roode dancing. That's not how I want to think about Bobby Roode. Ugh. Oh my God, this segment was so bad. It was so bad it was hilarious. So terribly shit. It was funny. It was unintentionally funny. So then we had Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass. Daniel Bryan, I'd say, was a bit, you know, entertaining in the match. You know, it's good seeing, you know, Daniel Bryan in the ring. You know, he's trying to take down Big Cass. And Daniel Bryan ended up getting the win with the yes lock locked onto Big Cass. Daniel Bryan won the match. You know, very shockingly. And I thought, you know, Big Cass, you know, was gonna just defeat Daniel Bryan tonight. But shockingly, Daniel Bryan got the win. Then he had, after the match, Big Cass attacks Daniel Bryan from behind. He tosses Daniel Bryan, you know, at ringside, you know, outside. Then, you know, they're both back in the ring. And then Big Cass lays out Daniel Bryan with a big boot. So that's pretty much, you know, what happened after the match. But match wasn't a great match. But Daniel Bryan was, you know, entertaining. And, you know, this shows, you know, Big Cass, he could be, you know, he could be a good heel from this. So, but yeah, the match itself wasn't great, but it was entertaining for Daniel Bryan. Then you had Carmella versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This match was boring. This was a shit match. Carmella, you know, I like Carmella, but, you know, she screaming, you know, in the match. She was screaming constantly during this match. It was, it was too much. There was a point in the match where Carmella wanted to leave. She ended up saying, you know, where's my title? And then she grabbed the title and, you know, she was going to leave so she wouldn't have the match with Charlotte. But Charlotte ended up standing there and, you know, running after Carmella. And that's when, you know, they got back in the ring, and it was just a boring match. Carmella ended up getting the win with the roll-up to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship because Charlotte ended up doing her moonsault, but she ended up you know, injuring her left leg, and that's when Carmella ended up rolling up Charlotte for the win. So Carmella still retains the SmackDown Women's Championship, which I kind of figured. But the match itself, it was a boring match. It was crap. It was shit. Then we had AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE Championship. This was a no disqualification match. And the match itself, it was good. It was a decently good match, but the ending was shit. Styles and Nakamura, it was back and forth between them. You had one point where Styles ended up low blowing Nakamura. Again, his payback after all the low blows that Nakamura has given him. Nakamura ended up going for the low blow, but it looked like, probably Styles was wearing a cup underneath, which is good because of how many times Nakamura low blowed him. You should definitely call Shinsuke Nakamura now Shinsuke Nutcrackamura, what people have been calling that. But he had a chair that was used during the match where Nakamura was going for the Kinshasa to Styles. Styles ended up throwing the chair into Nakamura's knee, and it ricocheted and hit the chair ricocheted over Nakamura's leg and hit Styles in the face, and Styles was bleeding from the side. And then at the end of the match, this was where the match went to shit, because Styles and Nakamura, they both low blowed themselves with it. They both did a kick and low blowed. Both of them low blowed themselves, and they both were taken out. They didn't make the 10 counts, so the match ended in a no contest. So AJ Styles still retains the WWE Championship. So yeah, but like I said, it was a decent match, but what a shit ending to the match. Man, so I guess they're gonna drag Styles and Nakamura. They're gonna drag their rivalry out, and so from what I heard, maybe Nakamura will win the WWE Championship at SummerSlam, but who knows? That's what I heard. I heard rumors saying that not if this feud goes on any longer, that Nakamura is gonna probably win the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. But that's just a rumor, like I said, from what I heard. Then the next match, it was Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. We've seen this before. The match itself, it was okay. It was meh, in my opinion. It was the same thing that we've seen on Raw for past 2 weeks. Bobby Lashley dominating on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. He had points where Kevin Owens didn't want Bobby Lashley to tag in Strowman. Bobby Lashley ended up tagging in Strowman, and that's when Strowman just goes on his rampage. He ended up clotheslining Kevin Owens outside of the ring, which was awesome, and the crowd was really liking that, because they were they're always behind Strowman. He ended up doing it again to Kevin Owens outside, and Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman win the match, where Bobby Lashley ends up hitting the vertical suplex to Kevin Owens to score the win. And during the match, you had a bigger back and forth between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, where they were having this little disagreement. Sami Zayn actually slaps Kevin Owens, which pisses Kevin Owens off. And it was basically Sami Zayn ended up throwing in Kevin Owens, and then later on Kevin Owens ended up throwing in Sami Zayn. So it was just that. But after the match, Braun Strowman ended up giving Kevin Owens a running power slam. Then we saw about maybe like 5 minutes later, Braun Strowman ended up giving Sami Zayn a running power slam. So pretty much that was basically, that. But but match itself, we've seen it before. So then we had the main event, Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe. And before I think the match started, you saw the crowd, have the crowd get up and leave. And the crowd didn't want to see, Roman Reigns. You could tell, the crowd didn't want to see Roman Reigns. And that's why they all got up and left. But the match itself, it was decent. But up until the end, which was predictable. But you had Samoa Joe pretty much dominate through the match against Roman Reigns. But there were some points where Roman had the upper hand. Samoa Joe, he ended up going through the second ropes and actually clobbed Roman Reigns with an elbow to Roman's face. And like before the match even got underway, Joe was just decimated on Roman. He actually Uranagi'd Roman through the announce table. He ended up throwing Roman through all the announce tables out there. And the end of the match was very predictable, and you could tell, and WWE does it for Roman because they love Roman so much. Vince loves Roman so much that it's we say Vince is Roman is Vince's bitch, or Vince loves Roman. So, but Roman Reigns gets the win. He ends up hitting a spear to Samoa Joe, which I wanted Joe to win. But like I said, WWE, they do it for Roman. They're sky high on Roman. They still want to get Roman over when the crowd doesn't want to see that. And that's why they put this as the main event, because they want the crowd to like Roman, and they want to get Roman over. And it's not working. It's not going to work. Stop trying to get Roman over, because, like I said, it's not working out. But like I said, they do it for Roman. So, all in all, match was decent up until the end. I said they do it for Roman. So, but yeah. So, anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's Backlash. The show was a piece of shit. It was an abysmal show. Definitely contender for my pick for worst pay-per-view of the year. So, but if you ever have insomnia and can't get to sleep, sorry about that, but I was saying if you ever have insomnia and can't get to sleep, definitely don't take NyQuil. Just go back on the WWE Network and watch this pay-per-view, and you'll fall asleep right then and there. So that's it for this review. Thank you all for watching, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow night for my Monday Night Raw review. So until that video, I'll see you all back here tomorrow night.